I jokingly shouted, "Is there anyone who wants to marry me?" Then the alien vampire woman came. The space station Helios 9 was quiet in a way that only deep space could be. Not silent, never silent, but calm. Machines hummed softly. Lights blinked in steady rhythm. Outside the wide observation window, stars floated like frozen sparks in endless darkness. Ethan Hale stood alone in the engineering bay. He was not a hero. He was not famous. He was just a human engineer with messy hair, tired eyes, and a long shift behind him. Ethan had been working for 12 hours straight. His hands smelled of metal and coolant. His shoulders hurt. His mind felt slow, like it was walking through thick fog. He leaned back in his chair and stared at the ceiling. "Another exciting day saving the universe," he muttered. No one answered. That was normal. Most of the crew were asleep. Helios 9 was a research station on the edge of known human space. It tested communication systems, not weapons or engines. Nothing exciting ever happened here. Ethan sighed and looked at the device in front of him. It was called the Intent Resonance Broadcaster. Officially, it was an experimental tool to test how different species might understand meaning beyond words. The idea was simple but strange. Emotions, intent, and context were sometimes more important than language. Humans argued about tone all the time. Aliens would be worse, so the device tried to send meaning instead of sound. So far, it had done absolutely nothing useful. Ethan tapped the screen. "Test number, I don't know anymore," he said quietly. He leaned forward and adjusted a setting. The screen showed waves, symbols, and numbers that only a few people on the station truly understood. Ethan understood them just enough to be dangerous. He paused. The station felt especially empty tonight. Ethan had been on Helios 9 for 3 years. No planets, no cities, no family nearby. Messages from Earth took weeks. Relationships did not survive that kind of distance. His last one ended with a polite goodbye and a long silence. He laughed softly to himself. 32 years old, he said, shaking his head. Living with machines, talking to a wall. On impulse, pure, foolish impulse, Ethan leaned toward the device. He did not plan it. He did not think it through. He just spoke. "Is there anyone out there," he said, half joking, half tired, "who wants to marry me?" He laughed right after saying it. It was a joke, a tired joke, a lonely joke. The device beeped. Ethan blinked. "That's new," he said. The screen flashed once, then returned to normal. No alarms, no warnings, no angry messages from command. Ethan shrugged. "Guess even the machine knows that was stupid," he said. He shut down the console, grabbed his jacket, and left the engineering bay. He did not see the faint signal leaving the station. He did not see it stretch across space. He did not see it change. Far away, very far away, beyond human maps and human fear, something old and patient was listening. The signal arrived not as sound, but as feeling, loneliness, humor, hope hidden behind embarrassment. A question meant as nothing and everything. In a dark hall made of smooth black stone, tall figures paused. One of them lifted her head. She was known as Lady Valeth of the Night Covenant. Her people were often called vampires by other species, though the word was wrong in many ways. They did not drink blood. They fed on life energy naturally released by stars, worlds, and living beings. They lived long lives, very long, too long. Valeth was older than most human civilizations. She stood alone on a balcony that looked out over a dying red star. Her skin was pale like moonlight. Her eyes were silver, calm, and heavy with centuries of discipline. Her dark clothing moved like shadow when she breathed. She had not expected to feel anything new. Then the signal touched her mind. It was raw, unfiltered, human. Her breath caught. "A vow," she whispered. Around her, others felt it too, but only as noise, confusion, background emotion. They dismissed it quickly. Humans were known to be loud, emotional, careless. Valeth was different. She listened deeper. She felt the intent beneath the joke, a call without belief, a question asked without expectation, a heart that did not think it would be answered. Her culture was built on vows. Spoken words carried weight. Intent carried law. A request made openly, sent into the universe, was not meaningless. It was an invitation, and by her people's ancient rules it could be accepted. Valeth's fingers tightened on the stone railing. "A human," she said softly. Her people had avoided humans, too young, too fast, too dangerous in ways weapons could not measure. Humans bonded quickly, broke quickly, rebuilt again and again. But that was exactly why the signal felt powerful, hope without certainty. She turned away from the star. Prepare a transit, she ordered calmly. An aide hesitated. Lady Valeth, for what purpose? Valeth's lips curved into the smallest smile. To answer, she said. Back on Helios 9, Ethan slept deeply for the first time in weeks. He dreamed of standing in an empty hall, calling out and hearing footsteps approach. He woke up smiling, then forgot the dream entirely. The next morning began like any other, until the alarms sounded. Not danger alarms, arrival alarms. Ethan was halfway through breakfast when the station lights shifted color. Unscheduled arrival detected, the AI announced. Unknown vessel, no weapons signature, no hostile intent detected. Ethan froze. That did not happen, ever. The command deck filled quickly. Scientists, officers, technicians, all confused, all whispering. A single ship appeared on the main screen. It was elegant, dark, smooth, almost organic in shape. It did not look human. It did not look aggressive. It looked deliberate. The AI spoke again. Incoming communication request. Direct, formal. The station commander swallowed. Put it through. The air shimmered. A hologram formed. She stood tall, calm, composed, silver eyes, pale skin, dark presence that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Every human in the room went silent. She inclined her head slightly. I am Lady Valeth, she said in perfect, clear English. I have come in response to a request. Her gaze moved, not scanning the room, but finding someone. Ethan felt it like a physical touch. Her eyes met his. You asked, she said gently, if there was anyone who wished to marry you. The room exploded into noise. Ethan did not hear it. All he could think was one sentence, repeating in his mind again and again. I was joking. The command room of Helios 9 was silent again, but this silence was heavy. Lady Valeth stood in the glowing blue hologram, calm and still, like time itself respected her. Her silver eyes remained on Ethan, even though dozens of humans filled the room. Ethan stood frozen. His mouth opened, but no words came out. The station commander cleared his throat. This is unexpected, he said carefully. May we ask what kind of request you are referring to? Valeth did not look away from Ethan. An open inquiry, she replied. Sent into the void, honest in emotion, uncertain in expectation. Her voice was soft, controlled, and very old. Ethan finally found his voice. I was joking, he said quickly. It was just a joke. I didn't mean... Valeth raised one hand gently. In my culture, she said, a question sent with sincerity cannot be dismissed by humor alone. Ethan swallowed. The commander stepped forward. Lady Valeth, perhaps we should discuss this in a more private channel. Valeth nodded once. That would be acceptable. The hologram faded. The room exploded into voices. What do you mean, Mary? Did he just start an interstellar incident? Who even is she? Ethan felt dizzy. I didn't do anything, he said weakly. I swear. The commander rubbed his temples. Engineer Hale, he said, you are coming with me. A few minutes later, Ethan sat in a small meeting room. The walls were white. The table was smooth metal. A glass of water sat untouched in front of him. The commander, 2 diplomats, and the station AI were present. Start from the beginning, one diplomat said. Ethan sighed. I was tired. The station was quiet. I said something stupid into a test device. What exactly did you say? The commander asked. Ethan looked down. I asked if anyone wanted to marry me. The room went quiet. The AI spoke. The intent resonance broadcaster amplified emotional context. One diplomat stared at Ethan. So you didn't just send words, she said. You sent feelings. Yes, the AI replied. Loneliness, humor, and hope were detected. Ethan covered his face. I didn't think anyone would hear it. That device can reach far, the commander said slowly. Very far. A new alert sounded. Incoming request, the AI announced. Lady Valeth requests direct conversation with engineer Ethan Hale. Everyone looked at Ethan. He raised his hands. I didn't invite her. You kind of did, the diplomat said. The commander stood. Engineer Hale, you will speak with her carefully, politely, no jokes. Ethan nodded, his stomach tight. The room darkened. The hologram returned. Lady Valeth appeared again, closer this time. The image showed more detail, fine lines under her eyes, symbols woven into her clothing, a faint glow around her presence. Ethan Hale, she said. May we speak openly? He nodded. Yes, but I need to be clear. I didn't mean to propose. I understand human humor, she replied. I have studied it. That surprised him. Then you know I didn't mean... You did not intend marriage, she said calmly, but you intended connection. Ethan paused. That's maybe true, he admitted. Valeth folded her hands. My people do not joke about vows. We stopped doing so long ago. Why? Ethan asked before he could stop himself. Because we stopped believing anyone would answer, she said. Her honesty caught him off guard. She continued, my species lives long lives. We became careful, reserved, afraid of emotional loss. Over time, we stopped reaching out. Ethan shifted in his chair. Humans do the opposite, he said quietly. We reach out even when it hurts. Yes, Valeth said. That is why your signal was rare. She looked away for the first time toward the stars outside the station window. I accepted, she said, not to claim you but to understand. Ethan frowned. Understand what? How humans still choose hope, she replied. The station allowed Valeth to dock under strict observation. When she arrived in person, the corridors filled with curious eyes. She moved gracefully, unarmed, escorted by humans who did not know whether to feel afraid or honored. Ethan met her at the docking bay. Up close, she was taller than him, not threatening, just present. You're real, he said. I was always real, she answered softly. They walked together through the station. People whispered, some smiled, some looked worried. Ethan tried to make conversation. So vampire, he said awkwardly. That's not offensive, right? Valeth tilted her head. It is inaccurate, she said, but not offensive. Good, she paused near a window. We do not drink blood, she explained. We absorb ambient life energy, stars, planets, emotions. Emotions? Ethan asked. Yes, she said. Strong emotions produce resonance. Ethan laughed nervously. So my bad joke was food? Valeth almost smiled. Later, they sat in a quiet observation room. No obligations exist yet, Valeth said. Only dialogue. Ethan relaxed a little. Good, because I'm not ready for interstellar marriage, she nodded. Neither am I. That surprised him again. She continued. I came because I wanted to believe someone would answer me someday, and you reminded me that asking is still possible. Ethan leaned back, thinking, so what happens now? He asked. Valeth looked at him steadily. Now, she said, we learn whether this connection was a mistake or a beginning. Outside the station, stars continued to burn. And across the galaxy, others were watching. Helios 9 had never been so busy. Scientists walked faster than usual. Diplomats whispered in corners. Messages arrived from Earth every few hours, each one marked urgent. Even the station AI adjusted its tone to sound calmer, as if it knew emotions were fragile. At the center of all this stood Ethan Hale and Lady Valeth. They sat across from each other in the observation lounge. Between them was a small table with 2 cups. One held coffee. The other held a faintly glowing liquid that slowly changed color. Ethan stared at the glowing cup. So, what happens if I drink that? Valeth answered calmly. You would feel slightly warm and very awake, then it would taste unpleasant. Good to know, Ethan said, pulling his coffee closer. Valeth watched him with quiet curiosity. Humans were endlessly interesting to her. They touched objects without fear. They filled silence with words. They smiled even when unsure. You are uncomfortable, she said. Ethan blinked. Is it that obvious? Yes, she replied. Your heart rate increases when others enter the room. Your humor increases when you are nervous. He laughed. That's fair. They sat quietly for a moment, watching stars slide past the window. Everyone is watching us, Ethan said finally. Yes, Valeth agreed. From many worlds. That made his shoulders tense again. I never wanted this kind of attention. She turned to him. Neither did I, yet attention follows meaning. Later that day, the first official cultural meeting began. Humans and Valeth's people connected through holograms. The alien delegates looked similar to her, tall, pale, elegant, distant. A human diplomat smiled politely. We want to clarify something, she said. Engineer Hale did not make a formal proposal. One of Valeth's elders responded, voice cool and slow. We understand, yet intent was present. Another human spoke. Humans often speak without planning. Yes, the elder replied. That is what concerns us. Ethan sat silently at the back, feeling small. Valeth stood. This was my choice, she said. Not a claim, not a demand. The elders turned their attention to her. I came, Valeth continued, to observe humanity directly, to understand why their emotions reach so far. The room paused. The elder nodded once. Observation is acceptable. Earth's diplomats looked relieved, but relief did not last. That evening, Ethan walked with Valeth through the hydroponics bay. Plants grew in neat rows. The air smelled clean and alive. This place feels fragile, Valeth said softly. It is, Ethan replied. Most human things are, she touched a leaf gently. Yet you keep building them. Because we don't last long, he said, so we try anyway. Valeth stopped walking. That, she said, is what my people lost. Ethan looked at her. What do you mean? She took a slow breath. We lived for centuries, loss became heavy, so we learned to avoid attachment. That sounds lonely, he said. It is quiet, she replied. We confused quiet with peace. Ethan thought about that. So when you heard my message, he began, I heard someone who did not expect an answer, she said, yet still asked. They continued walking. Not everyone was pleased. On a distant station, a council of alien observers met. Humans appeared on screens, emotional and unpredictable. They form bonds too easily, one observer said. Those bonds change cultures, another replied. A human bonded to Valeth could shift balance. A third voice spoke quietly. Or remind us of something we forgot. The council did not agree. They decided to watch more closely. Back on Helios 9, tension grew. Rumors spread online. Some humans called Ethan brave. Others called him irresponsible. Messages from Earth ranged from jokes to warnings. Ethan avoided reading them. Instead, he spent more time with Valeth. They talked about small things, music, sleep, fear. Valeth admitted she had not slept deeply in decades. Ethan taught her about human dreams. Humans dream of things that never happened, she said, surprised. Yeah, he replied. Sometimes the dreams are better than reality, she considered that. Perhaps, she said, that is why humans keep moving forward. One night, alarms sounded again, not danger, but news. A formal message arrived from the Galactic Council. They requested clarification of the bond. Ethan felt sick. This is getting too big. Valeth looked at him. You are not required to continue. You'd leave, he asked. If my presence harms your people, she said. Yes, he hesitated. That's the problem, he admitted. I don't want you to leave. She searched his face carefully. That is not obligation, she said. That is choice. They stood together, looking at the stars, and for the first time, Ethan realized something important. The joke had ended. The choice had begun. Helios 9 no longer felt like a quiet research station. It felt like the center of the galaxy. Messages arrived every hour. Some came from Earth. Others came from distant worlds Ethan had never heard of. The station AI worked non-stop, translating, sorting, and filtering requests. At the center of it all stood one simple truth. A human and an alien had formed a connection, and the galaxy did not know what to do with it. Ethan stood alone in the observation room, staring at the stars. His reflection looked tired. Older, not from age, but from responsibility. He never wanted to represent humanity, yet here he was. Behind him, the door opened softly. Valeth entered without sound. You are avoiding me, she said gently. Ethan sighed. I'm trying to think. That is another human habit, she replied. You think best when you are overwhelmed. He gave a weak smile. Lucky me. She stepped beside him, both of them facing the stars. The council will decide soon, Valeth said. They fear what this bond represents. Yeah, Ethan said. Us too. She turned to him. You regret answering? He shook his head immediately. No, I regret that my stupid joke turned into something so big. Valeth's eyes softened. Great change often begins with something small. He laughed quietly. That's one way to forgive me. The next day, the Galactic Council meeting began. It was not held in one place. Holograms filled a massive virtual chamber. Hundreds of species watched. Millions more listened. Ethan sat with Earth's representatives. His hands shook slightly. Valeth stood alone. A council speaker began. This gathering exists to prevent imbalance. Humanity is young, emotional, influential. Another voice added, Valeth's people are ancient, reserved. A union between such extremes could shift cultural alignment. Ethan wanted to shout, we're just people, but he stayed silent. Valeth spoke instead. I came by choice, she said calmly. No law forced me, no claim binds him. The council replied, intent matters. Influence matters, Earth's diplomat stood. Humans do not control emotions the way others do, she said. We live with them. That is the concern, an alien voice said. Your emotions spread. Ethan clenched his fists. Valeth looked at him once, then she made her decision. If my presence is the cause, she said, I will withdraw. The chamber went silent. Ethan turned to her sharply. What? She continued, voice steady. I will sever the bond and return, no alliance, no symbol. Ethan stood up. No, he said loudly. All eyes turned to him. That's not fair, he said. You didn't do anything wrong, neither did I. This is the cost, Valeth said softly. I accept it. Ethan felt something rise in his chest, not fear, not anger, resolve. He stepped forward. Humans don't accept connections halfway, he said. We don't erase meaning because others are uncomfortable. The council reacted instantly. This is dangerous thinking, one voice warned. Ethan nodded. Yeah, it always is. He took a deep breath. I made a joke, he said, but when she answered, I didn't laugh anymore. I listened, I chose. He looked directly at Valeth, and I still choose. The room erupted with voices. Valeth stared at him, truly surprised for the first time. You understand what this risks? She asked quietly. Every human does, he replied. That's why it matters. Earth's representatives stood beside him. Humanity accepts responsibility, the commander said. Not ownership, not control, responsibility. The council argued. Some demanded separation, others urged caution. A few listened. One ancient species spoke slowly. Humans form bonds knowing they can lose. Yes, Ethan said, that's what makes them real. Valeth stepped closer to him. In my culture, she said, this choice would be considered reckless. Ethan smiled sadly. In mine, it's called being alive. Silence fell again. Finally, the council speaker spoke. This bond will not be recognized as political, they said, but it will not be forbidden. Relief washed through the chamber. Valeth closed her eyes briefly. Ethan exhaled. Later, alone again, Valeth faced Ethan in the observation room. You surprised them, she said. I surprised myself, he admitted. You could have let me go, she said. It would have been easier. Yeah, he said, but humans don't choose easy when it costs meaning. She studied him carefully. For centuries, she said, my people believed restraint was wisdom. And, Ethan asked, and you reminded us, she said, that courage can be wisdom too. She extended her hand, not a claim, not a vow, a question. Ethan took it, not as a joke, but as a choice. Outside, the galaxy watched, and for the first time it did not see humans as loud or reckless. It saw them as something else entirely.